Am I making this video because my shiny hunt is taking too long? Hello everybody, welcome back to a new video, and in today's video I'm going to be reacting to some Pokemon hot takes. We're gonna start off tame and then maybe we'll get a bit deeper into the opinions. That glare on my glasses is really annoying. So the first Pokemon hot take says, anyone else like Delphox and Primarina lines? That's the most tamest opinion ever. Yes, I love Delphox. Yes, I love Primarina. I think I love Delphox more because Delphox is just so freaking cool. I love the concept of the X and Y starters being like kind of like RPG archetypes. It says Eevee should be Pokemon's mascot, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of sort of agree with this one. I feel like if there was a second mascot, it would probably be Eevee alongside Pikachu, but I kind of get that because I think it could be a great place to start. Like, Eevee is a great place to start, I think, with people who don't really know much about Pokemon, just because of they can teach you about like evolution and stuff like that. I kind of actually like that idea, but nothing could take away from the iconicness of Pikachu though. But I kind of like that idea and I agree with that idea. This one says the genies are awesome. I disagree. I hate the genies. It says Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are still better games than Sword and Shield. I actually disagree with this one. Sword and Shield brought something new and brought Gigantamax and stuff like that, and I really like that. I actually really like the Gigantamax idea. I think it's really cool. And then Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl were just like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and then BDSP was kind of just like a not very good remake that still kept some of the bugs from the DS version and stuff like that, which I don't think it's a bad game, but I think it's definitely not as good as it should have been. I think that there were so many other directions that the Pokemon company could have went, and then they went in the BDSP chibi Pokemon not being the right size as your character, still having issues that the DS versions had as well. Pokemon Sword and Shield, I feel like, were they good Pokemon games? Yes. Were they the best Pokemon games? Absolutely not. I don't think so, but I did enjoy Sword and Shield way more than BDSP, and I actually finished Sword and Shield and I did not finish BDSP just because I hated how how everything looked. I hated my gripe is I hated how the Pokemon were not like size accurate. I really hated that. Doesn't really take away from the performance of the game, but this one says the Kanto starters aren't good, they're boring, and the OG games kind of suck. I kind of sort of agree with that in a way. Like, that's, yeah, I know Ruby and Sapphire, Gold and Silver had their fair share of like glitches and like problems, but I think it wasn't as bad definitely as the original. I agree, the Kanto starters are like amazing and iconic, but I think their designs are a little bit boring compared to like newer starter designs. I think they have a bit more going on, but they're still iconic and they're still beautiful and great designs in my opinion. It says Pokemon isn't running out of ideas and they never will be. They can make games until 2060 and they would still have plenty to draw inspiration from. I think that's true, although I do feel like it gets to a point where they're just pulling like ideas out of their ass and just putting stuff into Pokemon just to put stuff into Pokemon. I think they can never run out of Pokemon ideas. There's like thousands of animals that they can draw inspiration from and thousands of things that they can make Pokemon based off of, so I agree with that. But the games, I feel like after a while the games are just gonna be like, what is even going on? It's gonna be kind of like maybe a little bit like One Piece. Like, does it have to be that long? No. It just says, I like the monkeys. No, I don't like the monkeys. This other one says Gen 1 was unfinished. Gen 1 had unfinished games, and Gen 2 is what Gen 1 should have been. I agree with that. Even though Gen 2 was also rushed, I feel like Gen 2 is what Gen 1 should have been. Like, they added more and more plot and more Pokemon and everything like that. I feel like Gen 2 isn't really a different gen. I feel like Gen 2 is like Gen 1.5. It's just an additional thing to Gen 1. Even though I love Gen 2, I think Gen 2 and Gen 4 and Sword and Shield are probably my favorite generations. No. My favorite generations are 2, 4, 6, 7. And my least favorite generation is 9 by far. I think all the Pokemon generations are great and are good. Here's all the other Pokemon generations. Gen 9 is right here. Not a big fan, not a big fan. There are some Pokemon I like in that generation, but for the most part, I don't like the mythicals, I don't like the legendaries, and I did not like the games. I liked the concept of Gen 9 was, here's my hot take. The concept of Gen 9 was so good. I loved the like the future and the past aspect of it. I loved everything about Gen 9 except for the execution. I feel like they executed it so poorly. Modern Pokemon isn't as bad as people make it out to be. I 100% agree. I love 90s Pokemon, I love 2000s Pokemon, I also love 2020s Pokemon. Maybe except Gen 9, but I love Sword and Shield. Scarlet, Violet, oh. I did not finish those games. Just saying, just saying. This one says Gen 9 Pokemon have the weakest designs in the series. I actually agree with that, yeah. I feel like they're trying, especially, oh, the new generation, Gen 10, the Winds and Waves. Now, my least favorite starter designs were the ones from Sword and Shield. Now they are the new ones. And some people were like, oh, I used to hate them, but they've grown on me and I love them. Not me, I still don't like them. I like the little dog a little bit. Actually, here's my ranking of the new Gen 10 starters. Grout, or whatever the grass one is called, Pom Bomb, and then Gekwa. That is the ugliest. I think that's probably one of the ugliest Pokemon there has to be out there. And they're not giving starter, it's giving Pokemon ripoff anime. Like AI designs. That's what the new starter designs are giving me. It's not just nostalgia, I just feel like they're genuinely just boring. They look like boring anime designs and not like Pokemon starter designs. Greninja is extremely overrated. I kind of agree. I feel like Greninja is definitely not the best starter, and I feel like there's other starters that deserve the hype. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee were the best Kanto games. Honestly, I kind of agree with that a little bit. I really liked Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee. I think they were great starters into the series, and I feel like they're way better to start with compared to the original Kanto games. That's pretty much all my Pokemon hot takes. I'm freezing, so I'm going to end this video so I can curl up with a blanket, and I will see every pony next time. Bye!